one of Connecticut's best urban schools. Next. And welcome to the Stan Simpson Show, a program about Connecticut people and compelling issues. Make it a point to drop it every week. It took them 14 years, but the journey was well worth the wait at Jumoke Academy in North Hartford. For the first decade, this mostly black, mostly poor charter school struggled on test scores and accountability. But about 5 years ago, Jumoke started hitting its stride. Test scores are up dramatically, in some cases competing favorably with West Hartford and Greenwich. Now there's a waiting list of 350 students and expansion plans are in the work. We'll talk with school CEO Michael Sharpe about the secrets to Jumoke's success. Then we'll wrap things up with the new president and CEO of the Nutmeg Big Brothers and Big Sisters organization. Former West Hartford State Rep Andy Fleischman is here to talk about his vision for the future and also this laudable program. But first, they are lauding Jumoke Academy again. Front page story, Hartford Current. Michael Sharpe, I followed this story for so many years. You're back in the news again. The funny thing with Jumoke, people see your success and the great results now in test scores, and they tend to think that you're an overnight sensation. Far from it.
Right.
Talk about it.
It's much like many movie actors who suddenly seem to bloom onto the scene, and people say, wow, they suddenly became a star. And you find out they, like Denzel Washington, was an actor for 20 years before, he hit the scene. So it's very gratifying to finally see our school come together and get the pace and the right agenda for our kids.
Is there a personal lesson for you that you can't have great success without great failure? Is there certain when you look back and say, okay, you failed to, and fail's a tough word, but they were ready to shut you guys down 10 years ago. Is there a lesson to learn here?
Well, I think the lesson is, you have to hold schools accountable. There has to be accountability, but there also has to be ways of measuring whether a school is moving forward or not. And I think that, to the state's credit and others, that although they were sort of at the door ready to close it, they saw things going on that gave them encouragement that we might get there. And I think because there was that confidence, we got the time to, sort of get our pace and turn the school around.
How stressful is it when you realize that you're not doing well with test scores, the state is sort of looking very hard at the school, and that you could be shut down? Must be a very stressful time for you.
I'm actually going to say no.
Okay.
It's you feel the pressure, but it's sort of like playing, I hate to use the analogy, football or a competitive sport. Your adrenaline is going, and you say, we've got to do this, and you focus on the task at hand, and so you don't really have time to really dread that they're shutting your doors. But we have kids who need to learn and who need to get that stability so they can go on, finish high school, college, and have a great life. So that's the real pressure. It's not the shutting the doors. It's kids that we have to serve.
Before we talk about what spurred your success, let's talk about what caused the failing. What caused you to be stuck in the mud, spinning your wheels? When you look back, what were two central elements that caused you not to move forward when you were struggling?
Well, I think the vision from Thelma Dickerson, who is our founder. And
that's your mom, too, right?
That's my mom.
Right.
Her vision was strong, and it was good, and it was correct. But we had the same problems that all of Hartford, or many of Hartford schools have. You have an influx of children who have a lot of needs, and you have to figure out what are these needs? What's preventing our kids from learning? What are the barriers? And so for many years, in our beginning years, every year we would identify 2 or 3 barriers to learning. And then we would spend a year trying to eliminate those barriers.
Give me one example. One key barrier.
One key barrier is simply the support that children need in coming into school with proper clothing, proper food, having the after-school activities in place for them, or support. A lot of kids need extra help with homework. Mm-hmm. So when you start looking at all those things, it becomes it's much more complex than it might seem. And then you have kids who are coming in with neighborhood problems and having to walk through certain neighborhoods to get to school, and coming into school, exasperated from having, some type of negative experience. So we started looking at all of those and say, how do we eliminate those problems for our kids?
Breakfast alone is a big deal. These kids, you realize, I'm in the system now, you realize that these kids, when they don't come to school, they don't have breakfast or lunch. You have a kid who's hungry. That kid's not going to be learning in class, right, and it's going to end up probably being a discipline problem for you.
That's right.
But let's take a look now. We talked about what you're doing when you were struggling. Let's take a look now at, as you're succeeding, what the day in the life of Jumoke. We had Rich Messina, Harper Kern came down, took a look, and let's see what he has here.
Jaden, Kyle, the purpose of this academy, when Thelma Dickerson decided to put her vision into reality in 1997, was to provide an education similar to what students would have gotten out in the suburban community. Her mission was to give students the best education in spite of the difficulties that they face. And a lot of people came together to help her to make this a reality. She wanted a school where there was academic rigor, and that has resulted in our students really doing very well on the CMT, which is the benchmark for student success in Connecticut. And we have very, very strong parent involvement. We also have very high expectations for our students. One of our motto here is Jumoke students are respectful, responsible, and ready to learn at all times, and I know that the students do take that seriously. These students are disciplined. Cool. We have fantastic students. Our students are eager to learn. Most of them are from lower income within the Hartford and surrounding communities. Our teachers also are excellent teachers, but the students, they are the ones who are making all of this work. They want it to work, so they are committed in what they do. School is a place where they feel safe and they feel that they can accomplish their dreams. So we at Jumoke Academy, all of our staff are on board to make sure that we bring that to our students.
High expectations, discipline, it sounds easy, but not so easy, right? Expectations are important because, let's be honest, a lot of times kids who are of color and poor get stigmatized by well-meaning people who don't raise the bar very high for them. Can you tell us, how do you make sure that indeed you do have rigor and do have the very highest expectations for kids who don't come from the right side of the tracks economically?
When you walk into our school, the first sign that you see when you step inside the door, it says, "This is a no excuse zone," and there's a trash basket there, and it's symbolically you deposit it there. We understand that some of our kids have hard situations, difficult things going on in their life. But we try to create an environment when they walk into the school that they can let that go.
And again, this is the elementary school.
This is elementary and middle school.
Right.
And you have to, at the same time, have the support for them there in the school. I mean, we're a very small school. We have 490 students, but we have 2 special ed teachers, 1 speech pathologist, a leadership counselor, and a social worker on staff. That's probably huge for one school to have. But we feel that we have to invest in that way so that our kids don't have the opportunity to sort of disengage. We're always looking ahead. What are they going to need to continue to be successful?
All right, we're going to talk more about those keys to success when the show returns. Michael Sharpe, CEO of Jumoke Academy, one of the state's top charter schools. We'll get some of their secrets to their success and talk more about what other schools can do. Don't go away. You're watching the Stan Simpson Show. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, too.